Israelis thought they knew Hamas. This was the terror group that's been around since the late 80s.
Some terrorist groups instill terror with their extreme brutality and global reach, using violence to advance their radical agendas. These organizations create chaos and destabilize entire regions, impacting global security. From the Middle East to Africa and beyond, they pose an urgent threat. Let's dive into the 15 most dangerous terrorist groups, starting with the most extreme. Number 15. Hamas. Hamas, short for Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, is the largest and most formidable militant group operating in the Palestinian territories, and one of the two primary political factions there. It originated in 1987 during the First Palestinian Intifada, or uprising, as an offshoot of the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. The group's primary goal is to resist Israel through armed struggle and to establish an Islamic Palestinian state in its place. Since 2007, Hamas has been the de facto governing authority in the Gaza Strip, having ousted the Palestinian Authority from power. The group is estimated to have between 20,000 and 25,000 members. Hamas employs a range of tactics, including using improvised explosive devices, rockets, mortars, small arms, kidnapping operations, and anti-tank missiles. It also has access to man-portable air defense systems, rocket-propelled grenades, and unmanned aircraft systems. In addition to physical attacks, Hamas engages in cyber espionage and computer network exploitation. These attacks target Israeli military and civilian populations, as well as ISIS and other Salafist militant groups in Gaza. The group's existence is rooted in its opposition to Israel, which it does not recognize, considering it an occupying force in Palestine. Over the years, Hamas has been responsible for numerous rocket attacks and suicide bombings against Israel. Despite various attempts at ceasefires and peace negotiations, the conflict between Hamas and Israel remains unresolved, making Hamas a continuing threat in the region. In October 2023, Hamas launched a major attack on southern Israel, resulting in the deaths of nearly 1,200 people and the capture of over 200 hostages. This prompted Israel to declare war to eliminate the group. The conflict has led to the deaths of nearly 40,000 people by July 2024, according to Palestinian officials in Gaza. Many countries, including the United States, have labeled Hamas as a terrorist organization, although some limit this designation to its military wing. Number 14. Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a powerful Shia Muslim political and paramilitary organization based in Lebanon, led by Hassan Nasrallah since 1992. The group is divided into two main branches: its military wing, known as the Jihad Council, and its political arm, the Loyalty to the Resistance Bloc, which holds seats in the Lebanese parliament. In 2016, Hezbollah's military strength was estimated to be comparable to that of a medium-sized national army. Hezbollah was founded in the early 1980s by Lebanese Shia clerics in response to the 1982 Israeli invasion of Lebanon. The group was heavily influenced by the ideals of Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, the leader of the 1979 Iranian Revolution. With support from 1,500 instructors from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Hezbollah united various Lebanese Shia factions to resist the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. During the Lebanese Civil War, Hezbollah outlined its goals in a 1985 manifesto, which called for the expulsion of Western forces from Lebanon and the end of any foreign influence in the country. Over time, Hezbollah has grown into a state within a state, with its military forces, media outlets, social services, and a significant presence in Lebanese politics. The group receives extensive military training, weapons, and financial aid from Iran, along with political backing from Syria. However, its involvement in the Syrian conflict has damaged its reputation among some. By 2021, Nasrallah claimed Hezbollah had 100,000 fighters. The group, or at least its military wing, is considered a terrorist organization by several countries and the European Union. Hezbollah's close ties to Iran, its involvement in numerous attacks against Israel and Western interests, and its advanced military capabilities make it a formidable and influential force in the region. Number 13. Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab, a militant group originating in Somalia, was established in 2006 as the armed wing of the Islamic Courts Union. The ICU had briefly taken control of central and southern Somalia in mid-2006. However, on December 2006, UN-backed Ethiopian forces overthrew the ICU, leading to its disbandment. Despite this setback, Al-Shabaab continued its activities, using the foreign intervention as a rallying point to garner support for its cause against what it saw as occupying forces. Since then, Al-Shabaab has grown into a major player in East Africa. The United States State Department labeled it a foreign terrorist organization in March 2008. Al-Shabaab is closely linked to Al-Qaeda and is infamous for its violent attacks on civilians, including the devastating assault on the Westgate Mall in Nairobi in 2013. This Sunni extremist group declared its allegiance to Al-Qaeda in 2012 and aims to overthrow the Somali federal government, drive out foreign troops, and create a strict Islamic state. Since 2014, Al-Shabaab has been responsible for more American deaths than any other Al-Qaeda affiliate and, as of 2022, is considered the wealthiest branch of Al-Qaeda. The group uses a wide range of media, including radio, websites, and social media, to spread its messages and propaganda both locally and globally. Al-Shabaab maintains a strong presence in southern Somalia and operates primarily in Somalia, Kenya, and Ethiopia. It targets United States and foreign military forces, Somali government and security personnel, as well as civilians in places like hotels, shopping malls, universities, and busy streets. While it has carried out deadly attacks in Kenya, Somalia, and Uganda, it has not yet targeted locations outside East Africa. The group's complex attacks often involve the use of improvised explosive devices or vehicle-borne IEDs, followed by gunfire. They also conduct ambushes, military-style raids, kidnappings, and assassinations. Many of Al-Shabaab's senior figures, including bomb experts and key planners, are designated as global terrorists. Despite ongoing military campaigns against them, Al-Shabaab remains a potent and resilient force in the region. Number 12. Lashkar-e-Tayyiba, LT. Lashkar-e-Tayyiba, often called the Army of the Righteous, is one of the largest and most effective militant groups focusing on Kashmir. It was formed in the early 1990s as the armed branch of Markaz-ud-Dawa wal-Irshad, a Pakistani Islamic fundamentalist group founded in the 1980s to fight against the Soviets in Afghanistan. Since 1993, Lashkar-e-Tayyiba has carried out numerous attacks on Indian soldiers and civilians in the disputed region of Jammu and Kashmir, as well as several major attacks inside India. The threat of new attacks by LT continues to worry many. Both the United States and the United Nations have labeled LT as a global terrorist organization. In 2002, the Pakistani government banned LT and froze its assets. By April 2012, the U.S. State Department offered rewards for information leading to the capture of 2 senior LT leaders. In June 2014, the U.S. Treasury imposed sanctions on 2 more LT leaders and updated its designations to include 4 additional LT front organizations. The Indian government has accused LT of orchestrating the devastating Mumbai attacks from November 26 to 29, 2008, resulting in over 160 deaths. On April 2015, Pakistani authorities released on bail Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi, the head of LT operations, who was facing charges related to the Mumbai attacks. David Headley, an American who admitted to training with LT, pleaded guilty in March 2010 to scouting targets for these attacks. On November 21, 2012, India executed Ajmal Kasab, the only surviving Mumbai attacker, after the Indian Supreme Court confirmed his death sentence. LT's goal is to create an Islamic state in South Asia, and its substantial presence in the region poses a significant threat to both India and Pakistan. Number 11. Taliban. The Taliban, a prominent militant group, was established in the early 1990s by Afghan Mujahideen, Islamic fighters who had previously resisted the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. These fighters received secret support from the CIA and Pakistan's inter-services intelligence during the Soviet conflict. The Taliban's ranks were soon bolstered by younger Pashtun tribesmen who had studied in Pakistani Islamic schools, with the term Taliban meaning students in Pashto. Pashtuns, the ethnic group from which the Taliban primarily hail, make up a significant portion of Afghanistan's population, especially in the southern and eastern regions. They also form a large ethnic group in Pakistan's north and west. Initially emerging from Afghanistan in the 1990s, the Taliban became notorious for their strict interpretation of Sharia law and their role as a haven for Al-Qaeda. After being removed from power in 2001, the Taliban regrouped and, over the following 2 decades, managed to reclaim substantial parts of Afghanistan. Their return to power in August 2021 came swiftly as the United States completed its troop withdrawal following a 2020 peace agreement. Since their resurgence, the Taliban have faced significant challenges. Despite promising to uphold the rights of women and minorities, their rule has seen a harsh enforcement of Islamic law. The group's transition from insurgents to a governing body has been marred by economic difficulties and widespread humanitarian issues. The Afghan economy has struggled under their rule, with severe malnutrition becoming widespread, numerous jobs disappearing, and most women being barred from the workforce. Analysts worry that the Taliban's close ties with Al-Qaeda might lead to Afghanistan becoming a base for international terrorist activities once again. Number 10. Boko Haram. Boko Haram, officially named Jama'at al-Sunnah lid-Dawah wal-Jihad, is an extremist Islamist group based in northeastern Nigeria, with activities extending into Chad, Niger, northern Cameroon, and Mali. Founded by Mohammed Yusuf in 2002, the group initially aimed to spread Sunni Islam and combat Shia Islam in northern Nigeria. They believed their efforts to overthrow the Nigerian government should wait until they were stronger. From 2019 to 2021, the group was led by Abu Bakr Shekau, who played a central role in its operations until his death in 2021. The group saw a significant split in 2016, giving rise to a rival faction known as the Islamic State's West Africa province. Boko Haram's early focus on purifying Islam has shifted dramatically over the years. The group's notorious brutality has caused immense suffering. Since 2009, Boko Haram has been responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of people, including over 300,000 children. Boko Haram's violent campaign increased after their leader, Mohammed Yusuf, was killed by Nigerian military forces on July 29. Following a large prison break in September 2010, the group escalated their attacks, initially targeting softer, less protected locations, but later moving to suicide bombings against police stations and even the United Nations office in Abuja in 2011. The Nigerian government's response included declaring a state of emergency in early 2012, which was later expanded to cover the entire northeast of the country. This led to increased violence from both the militants and security forces, with the latter being accused of abuses. 2014, Boko Haram had killed over 6,600 people. Notable atrocities include the burning of 59 schoolboys in February and the mass kidnapping of 276 schoolgirls from Chibok in April 2014. Efforts to combat Boko Haram have been hampered by corruption within security services and human rights violations, making the crisis even more challenging to manage. Number 9. Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is a militant Islamist group led by Sunni extremists to establish a global Islamic state. Although its members are primarily Arabs, the group also includes individuals from various ethnic backgrounds. Al-Qaeda has carried out attacks on civilians, military personnel, and economic targets. Many organizations, including NATO, the UN, and the EU, as well as numerous countries, classify Al-Qaeda as a terrorist organization. The group was founded in 1988 in Peshawar, Pakistan, by key figures such as Osama bin Laden and Abdullah Azzam. Al-Qaeda grew out of the networks formed during the Soviet-Afghan War. Initially, the group's name meant Vanguard for Jihad. When Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990, bin Laden offered his fighters to help Saudi Arabia. However, Saudi Arabia opted for United States military assistance instead. This decision led bin Laden to declare a jihad against both the Saudi leaders and the United States. Al-Qaeda set up its headquarters in Sudan in 1992, but was expelled in 1996. The group then moved to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan, where it expanded its influence into the Middle East and South Asia. In 1996 and 1998, bin Laden issued fatwas demanding the removal of United States troops from Saudi Arabia. In 1998, Al-Qaeda's attacks on United States embassies in Kenya and Tanzania resulted in the deaths of 224 people. In response, the United States conducted strikes on Al-Qaeda targets in Afghanistan and Sudan. The September 11, 2001 attacks, which killed nearly 3,000 people, prompted the United States to invade Afghanistan and later Iraq, associating Saddam Hussein with Al-Qaeda. After nearly a decade of pursuit, U.S. forces killed bin Laden in Pakistan on May 2011. Despite bin Laden's death, Al-Qaeda continues to be a global threat with active affiliates and cells worldwide. Number 8. ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, often abbreviated as ISIS or Daesh, is a militant extremist group known for its radical interpretations of Islam. The group originated from a smaller organization called Jaish-e-Tayyiba al-Mansura, which was established by Abu Omar al-Baghdadi in 2014. Initially, ISIS was affiliated with Al-Qaeda and fought alongside them during the Iraqi insurgency. Over time, however, ISIS split from Al-Qaeda and began to gain international attention in 2014. This was largely due to their dramatic expansion into large areas of northwestern Iraq and eastern Syria amidst the chaos of the Syrian civil war. ISIS is infamous for committing severe war crimes and human rights abuses. They have persecuted various groups, including Christians, Mandaeans, Shia Muslims, and Sufi Sunnis. Their brutality was often showcased in horrifying videos of beheadings and executions of journalists and aid workers. At its height by the end of 2015, ISIS controlled a region with about 12 million people. They later changed their name to the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, before declaring themselves as a global caliphate, simply named the Islamic State. Although they claimed religious, political, and military authority over Muslims worldwide, most mainstream Muslims, the United Nations, and various governments did not recognize their legitimacy. They enforced a strict and extreme version of Islamic law, had an annual budget exceeding $1 billion, and commanded over 30,000 fighters. By 2019, after fierce battles with American, Iraqi, and Kurdish forces, ISIS lost control of its territories in the Middle East. Despite their reduced territorial control, ISIS's influence continues through various affiliates and lone wolf attacks, and they remain a significant concern due to their ongoing propaganda and recruitment efforts. Number 7. Jaish-e-Mohammed, JEM. Jaish-e-Mohammed is a Pakistan-based Deobandi jihadist militant group primarily active in the Kashmir region. The group's main objective is to separate Kashmir from India and integrate it into Pakistan. Since its establishment in the year 2000, Jaish-e-Mohammed has carried out numerous attacks in Jammu and Kashmir, viewing the region as a gateway to the rest of India, where they believe Muslims require liberation. The group has close ties with the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, maintaining a strong alliance with these extremist organizations. It is widely believed that Pakistan's inter-services intelligence played a significant role in the formation of Jaish-e-Mohammed and continues to support its activities in Kashmir and elsewhere. Despite being officially banned in Pakistan in 2022, Jaish-e-Mohammed has resurfaced under different names and continues to operate openly, running several facilities in the country. According to Bahukutumbi Rahman, a former Indian intelligence officer, the group is considered the deadliest and the principal Islamic terrorist organization in Jammu and Kashmir. Jaish-e-Mohammed is responsible for several high-profile terror attacks, including the 2001 assault on the Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly, the 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament, the 2016 Pathankot Air Base attack, the 2016 attack on the Indian mission in Mazar-e-Sharif, the 2016 Uri attack, and the 2019 Pulwama attack. Each of these incidents has significantly impacted India-Pakistan relations. The group has been designated as a terrorist organization by several countries and entities, including Pakistan, Russia, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the United Nations. Jaish-e-Mohammed employs tactics like suicide bombings, car bombs, small arms attacks, improvised explosive devices, and rocket-propelled grenade attacks, primarily targeting Indian security forces, military bases, camps, convoys, and government buildings. Its overarching aim is to establish Islamic rule in Kashmir, and it remains linked to numerous significant terrorist activities in the region. Number 6. Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, FARC. The Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, People's Army, is a Marxist-Leninist guerrilla group that has played a major role in Colombia's ongoing conflict since 1964. Emerging from peasant defense groups during the Violencia period in the late 1940s, FARC officially formed in 1966, advocating for agrarian reform and anti-imperialism. They used both traditional and unconventional military tactics, including terrorism, and funded their operations through kidnapping, extortion, illegal mining, and the drug trade. FARC is just one of many players in Colombia's complex conflict, which has also seen violence from the state, right-wing paramilitaries, and other left-wing guerrillas like ELN and M19. FARC's strength has fluctuated over the years, peaking at around 18,000 fighters in 2007, but declining to fewer than 10,000 by 2011. Despite suffering from fatigue and desertion, FARC continued its attacks on energy infrastructure and police units until it signed a historic ceasefire in 2016 with President Juan Manuel Santos. After a failed referendum, a revised peace deal was signed in November 2016, leading to FARC's disarmament in 2017 and its transformation into a legal political party. However, a small faction of dissidents, about 2,000 to 2,500, rejected the peace deal and resumed armed activities, prompting the Colombian government to launch preemptive strikes against them. In 2023, the Colombian government began peace talks with a FARC splinter group, leading to a ceasefire that was extended into 2024. Most former FARC members have honored the 2016 peace agreement, but in August 2024, the government ended the ceasefire with the dissident faction Estado Mayor Central, which still rejects the peace deal. Number 5. The Lord's Resistance Army, LRA. The Lord's Resistance Army is a rebel group from Uganda, led by Joseph Kony. The LRA is currently active in the border areas of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Central African Republic, and South Sudan. Kony founded the LRA in 1988, claiming that his goal was to protect his ethnic Acholi people and establish a government based on his unique interpretation of the Ten Commandments. However, under his leadership, the LRA became infamous for its brutal violence, mostly targeting civilians, and lacked any clear political objectives. The LRA's origins trace back to the conflicts between the Acholi tribe in northern Uganda and southern tribes, which intensified after the rule of Ugandan dictator Idi Amin. When Yoweri Museveni came to power in 1986, many Acholi fighters fled north. Initially, a less violent faction resisted, but after their defeat in 1988, the more extreme LRA emerged. This new group quickly gained a reputation for horrific acts, including murder, torture, and rape. They were particularly notorious for abducting tens of thousands of children, forcing them into roles as child soldiers and sex slaves. In 2008, a peace deal failed to materialize when Kony refused to sign it. This led to a coordinated military effort by Uganda, the DRC, and South Sudan to defeat the LRA. This operation scattered the group into smaller, more difficult-to-track factions. In 2010, the U.S. responded by passing the Lord's Resistance Army Disarmament and Northern Uganda Recovery Act and deploying 100 soldiers to help capture Kony. Despite these efforts, the LRA continues to cause instability in the region. Number 4. Al-Nusra Front, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. The Al-Nusra Front, also called the Front for the Conquest of the Levant, was a militant group with a Salafi jihadist ideology that fought against the Syrian government during the Syrian civil war. Established in 2012, the group's primary goal was to topple President Bashar al-Assad and create an Islamic state governed by strict Sharia law in Syria. They are known for their strict interpretation of Sharia law and involvement in high-profile attacks. By November 2012, the Washington Post labeled al-Nusra as the most aggressive and successful among the rebel forces. Unlike secular and pro-democracy groups like the Free Syrian Army, which aim to end the Assad family's long rule, The Al-Nusra Front wanted to unite Islamist factions to shape Syria's future after Assad. They saw international support for the Syrian opposition as a threat to their Islamist ambitions and criticized it as imperialism. In December 2012, the United States Department of State designated the Al-Nusra Front as a foreign terrorist organization. By April 2013, it was officially recognized as the Syrian branch of Al-Qaeda after its leader, Ayman al-Zawahiri, rejected a forced merger attempt by Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and ordered the dissolution of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. In March 2015, the Al-Nusra Front joined forces with other Islamist groups to create a unified command center called the Army of Conquest. However, in July 2016, it rebranded itself as Jabhat Fatah al-Sham and publicly broke ties with Al-Qaeda. This split led to defections among senior commanders and criticism from Al-Qaeda, prompting a strong condemnation from Ayman al-Zawahiri, who called it an act of disobedience. On January 28, 2017, after fierce clashes with Ahrar al-Sham and other rebel groups, Jabhat Fatah al-Sham merged with 4 other factions to form Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, a new Sunni Islamist militant group. Al-Nusra Front remains a significant force in the ongoing Syrian conflict. Number 3. Islamic Jihad Union, IJU. The Islamic Jihad Union is a militant Islamist group that emerged in 2002 after breaking away from the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan. Based in North Waziristan, a rugged area in northwest Pakistan near the Afghanistan border, the IJU has connections with both Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Its main focus is attacking international forces in Afghanistan and threatening Central Asia. The IJU was behind several high-profile attacks in Uzbekistan in early 2024. These included assaults on police checkpoints and a busy market, resulting in around 47 deaths, including 33 IJU members, some of whom were suicide bombers. In July 2024, the group executed simultaneous suicide bombings targeting the Uzbek Prosecutor General's office and the United States and Israeli embassies in Tashkent. Initially known as the Islamic Jihad Group, the IJU also carried out various attacks in Uzbekistan. In 2007, German authorities uncovered a major bomb plot linked to the IJU, known as the Sauerland Terror Cell. Over the next few years, the group's focus shifted to battling Pakistani forces in tribal areas and NATO and Afghan troops in Afghanistan. IJU recruits primarily come from Turkey and Turkish communities in Western Europe, as well as European converts to Islam, especially from German-speaking countries. In 2013, the group released videos showing their attacks on an American military base in Afghanistan and a sniper shooting an Afghan soldier at another base. In 2015, the IJU was involved in the Taliban's siege of Kunduz city, which led to the deaths of at least 13 police officers and around 848 civilians being wounded, according to the United Nations. The group claimed responsibility for multiple attacks in eastern Afghanistan, including a significant assault on an Afghan military base that killed numerous soldiers. By mid-2015, the IJU expanded its operations into southern Afghanistan, Badakhshan, and Kunduz. Number 2. Kataib Hezbollah. Kataib Hezbollah, a Shiite militant group based in Iraq, has been deeply involved in the fight against ISIS and has been linked to numerous attacks on United States and coalition forces. This group is notorious for its close connections with Iran and its significant role in various regional conflicts, making it a serious threat in the Middle East. Founded in 2007, Kataib Hezbollah aims to create a government in Iraq that aligns with Iranian interests, drives out United States and coalition forces, and promotes Iranian influence throughout the region. The group is mainly based in Iraq and Syria, but may also have operations in Bahrain, Iran, Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia. Kataib Hezbollah, which boasts a membership of up to 10,000 fighters, frequently attacks United States personnel and facilities using improvised explosive devices, rockets, and unmanned aircraft systems. The group is also known for kidnapping and assassinating its domestic adversaries. Their arsenal includes a wide range of weapons and equipment, such as armored vehicles, artillery, explosively formed projectiles, man-portable air defense systems, and missiles. Kataib Hezbollah receives substantial support from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Quds Force, including training, funding, logistics, and intelligence, which influences their operations. Additionally, they have received training and weapons from Lebanese Hezbollah. On July 2009, the United States Department of State designated Kataib Hezbollah as a foreign terrorist organization. The group's leader, Ahmad al-Hamidawi, was labeled a specially designated global terrorist in February 2020. Since the onset of the Israel-Hamas conflict on October 2023, Kataib Hezbollah and other Iraqi Shiite militant groups, operating under the Islamic Resistance of Iraq banner, have launched over 100 attacks on United States forces in Iraq and Syria. On February 2024, a United States airstrike in Baghdad killed a Kataib Hezbollah commander responsible for these attacks. Number 1. Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is a highly active branch of the Al-Qaeda network, formed in 2009 through a merger of Al-Qaeda members and local jihadists focused on regional issues. This group follows Al-Qaeda's Salafi jihadist ideology, which aims to create a caliphate based on their strict interpretation of Islamic law. AQAP's objectives include overthrowing the governments of Saudi Arabia and Yemen, and they share Al-Qaeda's long-standing goal of attacking the United States. One notable attempt by AQAP to strike the United States occurred on Christmas Day 2009, when they recruited and trained a Nigerian national to blow up a commercial airliner over Detroit. In their media releases, AQAP frequently calls for attacks against Western targets and regional partners. They aim to reach English-speaking audiences with their propaganda, particularly through their magazine, Inspire, which has been published since 2010. The United States State Department officially labeled AQAP as a foreign terrorist organization on January 2010. Notable leaders such as Amir Khalid Batarfi and senior leader Ibrahim al-Bana were designated as specially designated global terrorists on January 2018 and June 2017, respectively. In June 2021, AQAP released its first new edition of Inspire since 2017, marking the 6th edition of their guide series. AQAP operates mainly in southern and central Yemen, where it has between 2,000 and 3,000 members. The group uses a variety of tactics, including ambushes, assaults, assassinations, bombings, kidnappings, and suicide attacks. Their targets include Yemeni government officials, military and security forces, infrastructure, and rival groups like the Houthis and ISIS Yemen. AQAP members involved in these activities are equipped with small arms, artillery, rockets, landmines, anti-tank missiles, manpads, and improvised explosive devices. Beyond Yemen, AQAP has targeted embassies, government officials, military personnel, and tourists across the Middle East. They have also attacked both cargo and passenger planes. What are your thoughts about these most dangerous terrorist groups around the world? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section below.